The movie starts with a scene during our hero Jason's childhood. This story is set in a small village called Minnal. He is attending a drama play that is happening in his village where his dad plays the main role. As the excitement of the drama kicks in, suddenly the fireworks shop catches fire, killing Jason's dad and a lot of other people in the process. The next scene brings us to the current times. We then start with a scene where people are watching a news debate regarding a special triangular planetary alignment that would happen that day. It is said that there is a warning for heavy lightning and thunder, and the news reporter advises people to stay indoors tonight. We get to know more about our hero's whereabouts. He is a young man aspiring to go abroad. He is dating the police officer Sachin's daughter. Her name is Binsi. He is a tailor by profession. His brother-in-law also works for the police. Jason is very irresponsible. We also get to know more about another character. His name is Shibu. He is a Tamil migrant worker who has come to work in this small village in Kerala. He looks always a bit disoriented but is a really soft-spoken man by his actions. Binsi's dad finds out about their relationship and warns him not to go next to her and that they must end this relationship now. Binsi ends the relationship then and there, and Jason is heartbroken. Today was Christmas Day and the whole church has gone out caroling. During this, we get to know that Shibu has been in love with a girl for a long time. Her name is Usha. She was Shibu's neighbor and childhood friend. She was married off but came back after she was divorced. Then after knowing that Usha had come back, he went on his boat to the other side of the lake with his radio to see Usha. In the next scene, we can see Jason becoming Santa Claus for the carol rounds and becoming one to go to Binsi's house. He then gets to know from her that she is engaged to another man, and she tells him that their breakup was final. Jason is heartbroken after hearing all this. Jason and Shibu have memories of how they fell in love with their respective lovers and how their relationship was while it was going. They both have really painful love stories and have been let down by humans in all aspects of their lives. This is one of the main themes of the story, which will be revealed later. Then they both get struck by two different lightnings. Jason is then immediately rushed to the hospital by the people of the church who came for the carol rounds. He comes back to life after the doctor performs CPR. But there was no one with Shibu, so he fell unconscious inside his boat throughout the night and came back alive in the morning. The doctor explains to everyone that Jason was supposed to die due to the lightning strike or have some severe health condition. But to his amazement, nothing happened to him and he is totally fine. Jason starts to notice some weird differences in his body. When he went to take an ECG, reading the machine exploded. Jason then gets some money ready to go abroad and then goes to meet Biji, who runs a karate class and is also the travel agent who would help Jason to go to America. Jason then sees various other changes. He was able to break his window down with just a push. He could break his bathroom's tap with just a touch and could break the door of his bathroom with just a push. Jason freaks out during all this. After watching his sister getting abused physically by her husband, who is a police officer, Jason just proceeds to push his sister's husband, but he flies into a well. Shibu also sees various changes in his body and understands he has the superpower to pull anything to him that he wants. It's like a magnetic power. To test this, he brought the wall in his house down and also brought a machete that was in the house to his hand while he was standing outside. He is also able to make anything float as well. During all this time, Jason's nephew Josman notices all this and goes to research on what happened to his uncle. He then illustrates to Jason that he is a superhero and that Jason has now superpowers. He discovers new superpowers. He can run fast, and he has a tremendously good aim as well. The shop owner of where Shibu works misbehaves with Usha. Shibu, after seeing that, takes the shop owner and makes him levitate and warns him if he repeats it again, Shibu will kill him. Here we can see the villainy nature of Shibu. He would go above and beyond for Usha because he loves her and loves her alone. He also got to know that Usha's daughter had a rare disease and needed an operation immediately. But she did not have the money for that. Shibu promises Usha that he will get the money for her daughter and leaves. Jason gets his passport application rejected as he had an issue with Police Inspector Sachin, Binsi's dad. He then went on to say that he was an adopted son and that his dad right now was not his dad and that his dad had died years before, as mentioned before in the movie. He also got to know that his dad died a hero by saving people from the fire caused by the firework explosion. He also got to know the name of the new drama that his dad had written, Minnal Murali. He also got to know that the police people had beaten up his adopted father. Then he asked Josman, his nephew, how the American superheroes were. Josman said that they wore a face mask and a cape around their shoulders and would beat up the bad guys. This was a much-needed incident in the movie and sets the tone for the second half that was yet to come. The next scene is set at the Kirukan Mula school anniversary. This is a grand function where a Malayalam movie superstar is invited as the guest of honor. Then Jason takes a disguise and a cape and starts to beat up Sachin and the other police officers. This fight became the main attraction for the gathering that was present there. Parallelly, Shibu wears a mask and starts to rob the cooperative bank to take money for Usha's daughter's treatment. But after reaching the hospital, Shibu gets to know that Usha's brother had paid for the treatment. He leaves the hospital disheartened. But when Jason and Shibu wake up the next day, they get to know from the village folks that both the cooperative bank heist and the beating up of the police officers were done by one person, and they named him Minnal Murali. They were both confused but moved on with their respective lives. Jason and Biji decide to go to Binsi's wedding, and both of them start to build a romance. Meanwhile, Shibu and Usha also start to build a good friendship as they both were also attending the wedding. After all this, we get to know how Dasan, Usha's brother, paid for her daughter's treatment. He had stolen the money that Jason had kept for him to immigrate abroad. This creates an argument between Jason and Dawson. Later in the day, Jason regrets his anger and searches for Dawson to apologize. This is when Shibu goes to meet Dawson and asks whether he can marry Usha. He also gives the money that he stole from the bank to Dawson and tells him to pay off what he owes Jason. He was mocked and ridiculed by Dawson, calling him a mad woman's son. This enraged Shibu, and he proceeded to kill Dawson by burning him alive. Everyone believes that Jason killed Dawson. In between this, Jason confesses to Biji that he is Minnal Murali, and they both plan on how to find who is the imposter who is faking as Minnal Murali. The police also thicken their search for Minnal Murali, as now people believe that he killed Dawson. Now Jason realizes that Anish, who is Binsi's wife, has a CCTV in his shop and that would have recorded who killed Dawson. When he goes with this to the police station, they are attacked by Shibu, who is wearing a mask. He proceeds to attack the police officers, and Jason flees with the recording. He then lands on a bus, where Shibu comes and attacks him. In this process, they kill the bus driver, and the bus goes to the edge of a cliff and it is almost going to fall. Shibu and Jason fight outside, but Jason loses and falls down. He, in the nick of time, wakes up and saves everyone on the bus at the right time. He does this in pure superhero fashion. After this, Shibu proceeds to kill another man who was troubling Usha. Meanwhile, Jason gets his old shop ready again and starts to make a superhero costume for himself, just like in the English movies. Jason tries hard to find out who was the other person who is posing as Minnal Murali. He finally figures out that it is Shibu. Shibu, while visiting the hospital, figures out that Jason was the real Minnal Murali. The villagers eventually figure out that Shibu is the fake Minnal Murali, and they all proceed to stone him, which he successfully defends and escapes. Then they all go to burn down his home. During this time, Jason is locked up in jail by his brother-in-law, as he understood that he was the one that hit the police officers the day of the school anniversary. But when Shibu is trying to escape, he finds Usha and her daughter at his home waiting for him. She realizes how much he loved her, and they both share an emotional moment with each other. After this, Shibu sees the villagers that are outside his home who are ready to burn him alive. They proceed to attack him and burn the home in the process. But Usha and her kid were still inside, and they both died in the fire. Shibu is devastated after this, as he up until this point did everything to make sure that Usha was safe. He loses his control and starts to attack the people at the festival gathering the next night. Sajan, after seeing the damage that Shibu is causing, decides to let Jason go, as he knows that Jason is the only person who can save them from Shibu. Biji, amidst all the chaos at the festival ground, goes to the basement to find explosives that are ready to be lit by Shibu. If these explosives are lit, the whole village be under fire. Shibu also traps a lot of the festival watchers inside the basement to make sure that they die. And from nowhere, Jason wears the costume that he made for Minnal Murali and saves the people from the basement. He then proceeds to attack Shibu. At first, he seemed like a very hard opponent, but eventually, he manages to kill Shibu and save the village in the process.